Thank you very much for everybody joining today, the LawNet InfoTrack AP1 webinar. My name is Lisa Summerton. I'm Head of Strategic Partnerships, and we have with us today George Coombs, who is obviously the Member Services Manager at LawNet. We have Louise Edwards, who is Head of Product at InfoTrack, and we have Faye Stenning, who is Marketing Manager. We will be doing questions and answers, but if you could use the Q&A box at the bottom of the screen to raise these, we will work on them all at the end of the sessions. So I'm going to begin now just by giving you a little bit of information about the AP1s with InfoTrack. So in April 2021, the Land Registry took a giant leap to move away from paper-based processes. They launched the Electronic Digital Registration Service, or as it's been abbreviated to, EDRS. A huge number of applications have been received through this service already, with the largest land registry integrated partner being InfoTrack. Requisitions on basic errors are down by 30%, and applications are processed and completed in half the time of an uploaded application, meaning law firms save time and reduce risk. From November this year, the Land Registry will no longer accept scanned or PDF copies of AP1s for changes to existing titles via their portal. The good news is, InfoTrack, working with LawNet, has this solution for you and has had this for some time now, and it is available to you via the InfoTrack portal. We've already placed over 500,000 submissions via this workspace to date. You will be able to use our AP1 service, meaning no one needs to reinvent the wheel. Also, if your CMS partner is integrated with us, and the large majority are, you can also take advantage of the integration, as our AP1 product, like all the other products within InfoTrack, integrate back into our CMS partner platforms. I'm now going to pass you over to Louise, who will walk you through the recent change and the great feature which is on the InfoTrack portal. Louise.
Thanks, Lisa. Thanks everyone again for dialing in with us this morning. So, as Lisa mentioned, back last year, Land Registry basically made their announcement that with the growth of the recently launched digital registration service, they were then mandating that moving from November 2022, they're no longer going to be accepting scanned or paper AP1s to this portal. And at the moment, I think it's around 80% of AP1 submissions that are being sent with physical paper documents. So moving to a digital application process is really fundamental in transforming the way that Land Registry essentially register the land and complete these processes. This is all being done sort of with the aim to improving the end-to-end of the conveyancing journey for everyone involved. So the difference between the EDRS and the Digital Registration Service, or DRS, EDRS will be the portal that the majority of you dialed in today will probably be familiar with. So this involves current submissions, whilst they're electronic, are a PDF that's being scanned and uploaded to the Land Registry portal. So the data can populate into a paper form, potentially from your case management system, but there's no data validations or enhanced features existing to manage the submissions there. On the DRS side of things, in Digital Registration Service, this really involves entering the data directly into Land Registry service or an integrated provider with the predefined field. So capturing it in this way allows the system to read the data and check for any errors. And that's really the difference here between the electronic versus digital submissions. With electronic, you might be able to do everything online, you might be able to do everything on your PC, but you won't be able to validate any of the data that's being submitted over to Land Registry, and you won't get the benefits from the enhanced services that a digital registration service can provide. So why is Land Registry going digital here? The current process is extremely manual for everyone involved. So again, whilst you can implement information over from your case management system, it still requires a lot of manual intervention on the caseworker side. And this manual intervention always comes with sort of, delays and just slowing down the overall transaction and the overall registration. With the lack of the validations and the data being sort of reviewed before sending over to Land Registry, a high number of requisitions come off the back of this as well. With a high number of requisitions and sort of the delay becomes a high volume of support calls. So it takes a lot longer to be able to kind of reach out to your caseworker and see where your application's at. It's just adding additional steps for everyone involved. There's no requisition management tool as well. And this is all really the proof to push everyone towards the digital side of things. So what does this mean for the industry? So this again is a quicker processing time. It means that the data has been sort of sanity checked on the front end before submitting over to land registry's caseworkers. And in doing that, it means that there's less work to have to review. There's less information that's going to come through with silly mistakes in there, and overall quicker processing time. With the full digitalization of the process as well, it just means that the information is returned quicker. Online guidance for submissions is incorporated with both the Land Registry's DRS service and any other integrated software suppliers. Fewer errors and reduction in requisitions, as again, the information is sanity checked on the front end, and the opportunity for further innovation here by moving everyone over to digital. So when looking at sort of the available solutions when moving over to digital that the firm will all have to do by November, there's a few things that we over here at InfoTrack think that the teams need to consider before they pick essentially a channel to review. There's the change management side of things. So getting ahead of the change to ensure that the team are all up and running by the November deadline is super important here. Staff training needs to be accounted for as well. So whichever solution the team will be picking of how they submit their AP1s digitally come November, we just need to make sure that obviously the staff are all trained up, they're aware of what differences are, how they would submit an AP1 via a digital process, via an electronic one. And this will need sort of a mix on one-on-one training, webinars, FAQs, and help pages to support the team here, in addition to ongoing monitoring and ongoing real-time support for more complex queries as well. So getting ahead of the change so that the team aren't stuck come November and having no alternatives here, being fully trained on the process and having real-time support if they do get stuck on any more complicated transaction types. On the productivity side of things, it's really important to factor in how the team can get their applications submitted quickest and most accurately as well. So the conveyances obviously that we deal with have been dealing with an incredible volume of work over the past 2.5 years. So it's really important to choose a digital solution who can reduce submissions down to a few minutes. And it's imperative that you've got information populating over from your case management system, your data is getting validated, and you've got the ability to directly liaise with caseworkers should you need assistance on the transaction. It's all about streamlining efficiency and having the team work as productively as possible. They have other things going on in the transactions. They have massive volumes that they're dealing with at any given time. So it's important to make sure that all the information that they've got at their fingertips, they can submit over to Land Registry as quickly and as accurately as possible. And then finally, on the compliance side of things, it's really important to be able to share management oversight information across the team. Built the ability to have audit trails and sort of the ability to report over to regulators on any volumes and transaction types, visibility across the firm, whether that's a management having oversight over all of the transactions, but also across the teams being able to respond to someone else's requisitions should say something come up when another member of the team is say on annual leave or out of the office for whatever reason. Key dates automation as well, making sure that the relative sort of risk mitigation tools, so that warning of cancellation, aren't missed, and all the relevant information to be able to sort of stay compliant and stay on top of your matters. So when it comes to the sort of solutions available, there's essentially two routes to a solution that the team can be sort of going down. The options are either to go direct with HMLR's new DRS portal or an integration partner such as InfoTrack. So here at InfoTrack, we've had our digital AP1 solution up and running since 2016 and have since become Land Registry's key business partner and biggest user. During the past 6 years, we've continued to release enhancements to our solution, and we've released over 100 enhancements to our AP1 solution this year alone. With this, what we found is that the clients coming on board and utilising InfoTrack's digital solution, they tend to see about a 30% rate in reduction to requisitions being raised. And we've had well over 550,000 submissions since going live with the product 6 years ago, which equates to about 25,000 a month at the moment. On top of this, we've also got integration with over 15 case management system providers. So again, we'll go through this shortly in a little bit with the demo, but you'll be able to see data populating over and pushing back into your matter on completion. So again, we'll shortly hop over to the platform to walk you through our solution and how it can benefit the team. InfoTrack solution provides full support in submitting forms and managing ongoing applications. And as we lead into the autumn and land registry's deadline, we continue to build and improve upon our solution. This will be looking into new members of the support team to help with your queries, new integration partners so you can populate data directly from your case management system and into your AP1 forms, and new lender management panels to send completion of registration over to your lenders, alongside all new features embedded within the solution as well. Fab. So I will pop over to InfoTrack's website. So for those of you unfamiliar with the InfoTrack platform, this is the layout of our site. So you'll have dashboard management information going on the left-hand side, and all the InfoTrack services listed across the top alongside your existing matters underneath. So in true Blue Peter fashion, here's one I've prepared earlier. And you can see I've already done my local searches, some land registry work, an indemnity draft, my property report, and I've done my SDLT, and I'll go on to do my AP1. So as I mentioned earlier, and as Lisa mentioned at the beginning of the presentation, we integrate with over 15 case management system providers as well. So what this essentially means is that if you're accessing InfoTrack via an integrated partner, we can populate up to 90% of the AP1 form for you. So we already know the information such as title number, applicants, proprietor details, documents can populate over as well. So it basically means that you just have to go through and fill out the missing information to complete your application. If you don't access the system via one of those case management system partners, we also have a standalone website in which you can access the information, and going through the system essentially starts to snowball and pick up all of the relevant information from previous products that have been ordered. So this means that your address can populate over from your conveyancing searches, your title number can populate over from any land registry work which has come through InfoTrack, and all the remaining information can populate over from your SDLTs. There's about 90% similarity between those two forms anyway, so a lot of the information is there ready and waiting for you. This time that it takes to kind of not have to sit there and rekey the information in means that you can submit and complete your full post-completion forms within about 5 minutes through the platform with information populating over. But now, just on the form side of things, this probably does look quite a bit different to those of you who are familiar with the AP1 forms in the land registry sort of paper format. And we basically relaunched a version of our AP1 form a few years ago to sort of rejig the information into this format. And we found that since doing that, it's really caused a massive reduction in kind of calls coming into the help desk and just queries that come in around how to submit a form, especially where we've had so many new starters to the industry over the past few years. It's really helped create the form and sort of reorganize it in a way that's just logical to anyone. So you can come in at any time and just remember how to fill out your AP1, what applications you need, and sort of tidy everything up before sending over to land registry. So I can come in and start to fill out the missing information. Again, I populated over my local authority and postcode information from my searches. And when it comes to the priority applications, we've done sort of common combinations of forms at the top here. So bundles such as discharge, transfer, charge that people are often submitting together. And then you can come in and upload documents directly from your matter or directly from your local documents if you're coming via the website. The land registry fees can populate over. It knows the price paid from my stamp duty forms, and those land registry fees are also calculated. My SDLT5 has also populated over from my stamp duty submission, so I don't have to go and save any documents externally to re-upload into InfoTrack. It can automatically populate over. My applicant in this instance is my client, James Smith. It's populated my details over as the conveyancer. And again, this is just some key information that I'm not having to repeat and retype any information because it knows it already from what I've put through the platform. Where it knows that James Smith is acting as the applicant and I've got a transfer and a charge going through, it's also associated transferee and borrower. So these are some of the enhancements that InfoTrack have been building over the past few years to be able to auto allocate certain roles, tick away at like the admin time it takes to submit a form, and really reduce down the turnaround time it would take to sort of draft and submit an AP1 form over to land registry. In addition to that, we've built a lender database as well. So address for services can populate over and you can fill out again any missing information relating to this lender for the applicant. I've populated my proprietor information again over from a register that I ordered via from land registry through InfoTrack. And again, it knows that there's a discharge and a transfer going through this transaction. So it's auto allocated again, borrower and transferor. And I can come in and add in my lender name in here as well. in addition to selecting my conveyancer. I can come in and add any additional parties, any other applications that I need to send over with this AP1. But for the discharge transfer charge situation, we already know who all the parties are and which roles they would then be associated with. And because of that, it means when you come down to do your associate applications, this is essentially the equivalent of the panel 13. For those of you, again, familiar with the AP1 form, everything is essentially allocated for you. So all of the information is tied up with the relevant parties, and I don't need to go in and sort of rejig or like reallocate any parties or their roles to a particular application. It's all done for you. So again, these are some of the key enhancements that we've been making over the past few years to make sure that it's such a streamlined process for you to be able to submit your forms. And it's things like these that have really got us to the #1 land registry client in the past couple of years. Down at the bottom, I can then select the address for service and any disclosable interests. In addition to the sort of management side of things, I can also then allocate this matter to an LMS case. So we've had our integration with LMS up and running for the past couple of years. And this basically means that I can come in and select my LMS reference from the case here. So say if it's allocated to this one, what will then happen is when I submit over to Land Registry, a copy of the submission receipt will automatically post over to my LMS case. And on completion, the completion of registration and updated title documents will also push over to LMS. So again, it's just one less admin task that the team have to set a reminder to go to another website, upload the information, we can automatically sync it over and reduce the risk of those fines being sent. Finally, if I need to CC in any third parties or additional users to be able to receive any correspondence on this matter, I can select a user from the drop-down list here before either saving and printing or submitting over to Land Registry. One of the features as well that we've recently built into our AP1 submission forms is a live chat with our support members of the team. So in addition to this, if you wanted to come in and say, ask a question over to one of our senior help desk consultants, these are the people who have been talking about AP1s for years now. Any questions that you've got, you can send us a message instantly. Other than that, you can also call into our help desk with the number at the top. And we've also embedded requisition tips and your FAQs into the page here. So if anyone gets stuck on any particular part of the transaction and any particular part of submitting the form, you've got your FAQs, our help desk are at the end of the phone or via live chat, and requisition tips all embedded within the form for you here. Again, going back to some of the additional enhancements we've been making over the past few years, we've built in some FAQs and some additional support. So if you are dealing with slightly more complex transactions, so you've got a power of attorney, you've got a TR5, you're dealing with a staircasing transaction, we've utilised sort of the knowledge that our help desk team have sort of gained in dealing with these calls from conveyancers calling into them. We've been able to turn that into sort of product enhancements and features on the front end so that we can build sort of a truly supportive AP1 form that any member of the team can come in and utilise at any time. But once you've submitted that over to Land Registry, if I hop back onto my InfoTrack home screen, with most of the products that we build over here at InfoTrack, we also build a dashboard to go alongside it. And we know with AP1s in particular, it's almost as important to have sort of tools and features and enhancements that really support AP1 management once it's in progress, in addition to the AP1 submission side of things. So this is where we sort of built our AP1 dashboard. So you've got matter information, applicant details, and the status of your AP1 on the right-hand side here. So I can bump up to the top and just review any requisitions which are still outstanding, and even filter down to requisitions outstanding or warning of cancellations or any of the ones which are sort of a priority for me to review. Once I come into the requisition side of things, I'll be able to either respond to the requisition or request a Land Registry action. So responding to the requisition basically means I can come in and regenerate certain details of the application. So say I needed to regenerate the sort of panel 13 equivalent or confirm if there was, say, a name mismatch requisition that was raised, I can come in and just add any relevant information to be able to respond to that requisition. And we've just added a bit of structure in here so that we know that if you fill out this form sort of correctly to respond to the requisition, you'll be able to send everything over to your caseworker and they'll be able to receive all of the information that they require to be able to resolve that particular requisition. So I can come in and regenerate sort of party details. Say I missed out Wayne's middle name here, I can regenerate that information before sending it back to my caseworker. And in addition to that, going back to the portal, I can also come in and request a land registry action. So say I needed an update on my transaction, I need to know when processing will begin, I can just send this information over to my caseworker and sort of add in all of the mandatory information that they would need of me as well. In addition to this requisition tab, where you've essentially got a WhatsApp-like chat with your caseworker, I can also go and review the day list to sort of check on my application, where it is in priority order, alongside all related files. So you'll have a full audit trail going in here of any requisitions that have been raised, any responses which have gone back, alongside my initial AP1 preview and the submission receipt as to when that was sent over. So everything's at your fingertips here to be able to manage your AP1 transactions at any given time. Everything's kind of embedded within the one place for you to be able to view all of your applications within the dashboard. And again, this will be visible across the teams as well. So if you had someone who was, say, unwell or on annual leave and out of the office, you've got full visibility over the full team's transactions, and you've got all of the information kind of embedded into one place. On completion, all of your documents will be sent out to you via email. And again, if you've accessed the system via a case management system that we integrate with, all of the documents, can populate back into your case management system. So all of the relevant information around requisitions, the responses to requisitions, your completion of registration, and your updated title documents will all populate back down into your case management system on completion. So I'll just pop back into the presentation before handing back over, but thank you all again sort of for dialing in. We'll open up the Q&A shortly. I really wanted to stress sort of, especially from the product side of things that I sort of manage with my team and with the help desk, we have a very passionate team over here at InfoTrack who really care about AP1s and really care about creating a full end-to-end product that can support your teams along the way at every single step. So we have a lot of members of the support staff who are always around to help and kind of help the team submit any more complex transactions, and anything that we hear about over on the product side of things that we know can help with the submitting side of things or managing your AP1 requisitions, and any features that we know that we can build to make things a bit easier. We're always sort of adding into our workload and adding into our sort of development sprint. So thank you sort of for dialing into the demo. I'll hand back over to Lisa now.
Thank you very much. I'm actually going to hand straight over to Faye, who will now deal with any questions that we have. Faye, have we had many questions in?
Thank you. Yes, thank you, Lisa. Thank you, Louise. We have had a couple of questions in, actually, so I'll dive straight in. The first one is, am I limited to the number of titles that I can submit in one AP1?
I think there's a cap of about 100. So this is something with the integration that we have with Land Registry. There are certain restrictions that they have from a technical perspective. I know that the team have sort of dealt with large portfolio work and large scale transactions, but I think off the top of my head, it's 100.
Okay, that's lovely. Thank you. The next question is, how do I pay the registration fee?
So the registration fee, when you get set up with submitting your AP1s via InfoTrack, we will essentially take your land registry credential. So this means that the AP1s, when they're submitted over to land registry, it's done via the firm's account. So it doesn't have InfoTrack sort of plastered all over it. They know that it's come from yourselves. And with this, it basically means that your details are associated with your key number. So the land registry registration fees will just continue to be direct debited from that account as they are at the moment if you're going direct.
That's great, thank you. Somebody else has asked, can they lodge first registrations digitally?
Unfortunately, you can't at the moment. So this isn't something that has been built via Land Registry's DRS or as available to an integrated software supplier such as InfoTrack. It's something that we hear quite a bit from our clients, but unfortunately that's not set up for the digital process just yet.
Okay, no problem. I have another question in here. Am I limited, or is there a limit in the type of applications that can be submitted?
No, we've got a full list. So we do have, as I showed, these sort of common combinations of the forms up at the top, but we've got the full application list that Land Registry have on the DRS side of things as well. So all your discharges, unilateral notices, restriction forms, and all of that are fully listed under that form. So you've got your common combinations at the top, but all the Land Registry forms are listed underneath for you to submit with your AP1.
Fantastic, thank you. Next question is, what are the charges, please, for InfoTrack services?
Yep, so we have a standard sort of AP1 admin fee of £4.80 inclusive of VAT that's paid, that's set up on a pay-per-use basis. So there's no subscription fees or sign-up costs associated with InfoTrack.
Great, thank you. Does everyone in the firm need the DRS credentials in order to lodge an AP1 via InfoTrack?
No, as long as there's one, at least one credential, you know, sort of set up, that's all we'd really need to be able to submit on your behalf. One of the things that we do find, it's always useful to have sort of a couple of credentials spread across the firm, just in case someone accidentally goes in and changes some details. There's just a bit of an insurance policy there, but as long as we've got one, that can be shared around the team so everyone can get set up with it.
Great. Someone has asked if they're able to cancel an application via InfoTrack.
Yes, you can. So that's one of the things that we've built into the land registry, to the sort of requisition portal that we've built. So where you have the options to either respond to a requisition or request a land registry action. On the land registry action side of things, cancellation is one of the options in the drop down. There's a couple of other bits of information that the land registry requests. So we request that of yourselves as well on the front end, but that can all be done from within the portal as well.
Great, thank you. And we're almost out of questions, unless anyone else has anything else they'd like to ask. The next question is, can I lodge complex applications via InfoTrack's AP1 solution?
Yes, absolutely. I guess the concept of what constitutes a complex transaction is always a bit different depending on the firm, but there's no sort of transaction type that we found can't be submitted at all outside of like first registrations, for example. We do have, again, we've got a lot of FAQs built into the platform, requisition tips as well. And we've also got, again, our sort of senior help desk consultants who do know how to deal with more complex transactions. So depending on what that sort of constitutes, there's never really been a situation that we can't cater for over here.
Okay, and then the last question for the moment is, how do I know, I have another question after this, how do I know whether I have EDRS credentials?
If you have access to the land registry portal, and if you're submitting your AP1s via land registry's website at the moment, even if it is just uploading, you will have EDRS credentials. So as long as you can submit your AP1s via your land registry portal, you'll have access to EDRS, and we can just take your land registry credentials and put them into InfoTrack to be able to submit.
Perfect. And I think this is the last question, but if any more come through, we do still have time. Can I just do the AP1 application through InfoTrack without all the other parts, for example, the searches and the SDLT, or does the whole purchase process need to be done through InfoTrack?
No, so there are obviously benefits to putting everything through the platform, but everything at InfoTrack is sort of set up as like a pay-per-use or a standalone service. So there's no subscriptions. If you didn't want to use any other product within InfoTrack, you're not forced to. You can use AP1s as a standalone.
Brilliant, that's great, thank you. So we don't have any other questions at the moment. So Lisa, I'm happy to hand back to you to round up and close, if that's good with you.
Super. Well, yeah, thank you very much. Thank you everybody for attending today. I hope you found it useful. If you do have any other questions, please do get in contact with us directly and we will of course answer those for you. Thank you very much, Louise, for doing the demonstration and giving all that very useful information on the AP1 and digitised service. Thank you, George, for attending today and giving us this opportunity to show your members the AP1 solution. And Faye, thank you very much for doing the questions and answers. I think that probably is a good place to stop, and we can all get on with our days. I hope you will have a good day and it isn't too stuffy and hot as it gets later throughout the day. Thank you very much.
Thanks, everyone.